Patriots Nation, lock in, because what is happening in Foxborough right now does not feel like random off-season noise. This feels like a build. This feels like a front office and coaching staff laying down pieces with a purpose. You've got a young defender getting league-wide recognition, a veteran playmaker brought in to raise the standard, major wide receiver rumors heating up, and a draft path that could still change everything for this offense. That is not a quiet offseason. That is a team sending a message. So if you're riding with the Pats, hit like, subscribe, and jump into the comments, because today we are reading the signals coming out of Foxborough, and I'm telling you right now, this thing might be bigger than people want to admit. Let's start with the news that a lot of people outside New England will shrug off because it doesn't come with a giant headline. But for real Patriots fans, this matters. Craig Woodson just landed in the top 10 in the entire NFL for performance-based pay, taking home more than $1 million in bonus money after the season. And no, that's not just a cool extra check, that is validation. That is proof that New England hit on something real. Woodson came in as a fourth-round pick, not some hyped-up first-round darling, not a guy the whole league was drooling over, and he ended up becoming one of the most important pieces on this defense. He started 15 games, led the defense in snaps, and flat-out grew up right in front of us. And that is the part that should fire up this fan base. He didn't walk into the building with a guaranteed runway. He had to climb. He had veterans in front of him. He had to earn trust. He had to fit what the staff wanted to do. And once the coaches saw the fit, once they saw the range, the instincts, the comfort level in that role, the door opened and he never looked back. That is not luck. That is evaluation. That is development. That is the kind of thing winning organizations do. And if we're being honest, it tells you a lot about what this regime is trying to build. They're not just collecting names. They're identifying roles and finding players who actually match the vision. And then came the biggest stage of all. Super Bowl 60. Brightest lights, biggest pressure, everything on the line. And who showed up? Craig Woodson. 10 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups. That is not a guy hiding in the background. That is not a passenger. That is a young player announcing that he belongs in games that define legacies. Patriots fans know exactly what that means. You want guys who don't flinch. You want guys who rise when the whole world is watching. Woodson gave New England that kind of signal, and now the question gets very real, very fast. Did the Patriots just find a starter, or did they find one of the next core pillars of this defense? Because if this trajectory keeps going, we may be talking about a whole lot more than a nice rookie story. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because Woodson is not being left out there alone. The Patriots went out and brought in Kevin Byard, and that move might be one of the smartest value plays of the entire offseason. Seriously, look at it. 1-year deal, manageable money, veteran safety, 3-time first-team All-Pro, coming off another season where he picked off 7 passes and reminded everybody that his ball skills are still very, very real. You want to talk about a move that screams seriousness? This is it. This is a team looking at its secondary and saying, we are not satisfied with solid. We want game changers on the back end. We want takeaways. We want leadership. We want a guy who can help young players grow while still making plays himself. Now let's be fair, because this channel is passionate, but it's not fake. Byard is not flawless. He's 32. There were moments in coverage last year where things got shaky. He gave up touchdowns. There is risk there. But that is exactly why the deal is so good. New England didn't overcommit. They didn't mortgage flexibility. They bought upside without chaining themselves to the downside. That is how smart teams operate. And there is another layer here that I don't think enough people are talking about. Leadership is production too. Leadership matters. Communication matters. Stability matters. A veteran like Byard walking into that room and lining up next to a rising player like Woodson, that can raise the whole group. That can sharpen habits, sharpen angles, sharpen awareness, sharpen everything. So now put the pieces together. A young safety on the rise, a veteran ball hawk arriving, a secondary that already has talent. Are the Patriots quietly putting together one of the more dangerous back ends in football? That is not a crazy question anymore. But now let's shift to the part of the offseason that really gets the blood pumping, because this is where things can go from promising to explosive in a hurry. The wide receiver situation. We all know it. The rumors linking the Patriots to A.J. Brown are still alive, and whether anything actually happens or not, the message is obvious. New England knows it still needs more juice on offense. It knows Drake May needs help. It knows this attack still needs a true force multiplier. And if A.J. Brown is really even remotely available, of course the Patriots should be in that conversation. Why wouldn't they be? He's younger, he's physical, he's dominant, He's exactly the kind of receiver who can tilt coverage and change a quarterback's life. But this is where the story takes a turn. Because while everybody is staring at A.J. Brown, another possibility has started floating around. Davante Adams. And look, I get it. The reaction is immediate. Different age, different timeline, different kind of move. But don't dismiss it too fast, because there is logic here. If the top target is too expensive, if the bidding gets out of control, if the Eagles slam the door shut, the Patriots may need another way to attack the same problem. And the problem is simple. Get Drake May a receiver who can win, who can command attention, who can make life easier in the red zone, on third down, in the biggest moments. That is where Adams becomes fascinating. If the cost is truly something reasonable, if you're talking about a much cheaper price than what it would take to land A.J. Brown, then suddenly this becomes less about winning the headline and more about winning the roster construction battle. Because the Patriots cannot just act desperate. They cannot throw away premium draft capital on emotion alone. They have to build today and tomorrow. And if there is a path to adding a proven, productive, high-level target without gutting the future, then yes, they should absolutely explore it. Now the concern is obvious. Adams is 33. You can't ignore that. If the stated goal is to build a younger roster, a move like that doesn't fit the blueprint as cleanly as a trade for A.J. Brown would. That's real. That matters. But there is another truth that matters too. Sometimes a young quarterback does not just need potential around him. Sometimes he needs certainty. He needs a grown man route runner. He needs somebody defenses already respect. He needs a target who can show the rest of the room how it's supposed to look. So if New England sees Adams as a bridge piece who can accelerate the entire offense without wrecking the long-term plan, then I'm sorry, I'm not ruling that out for a second. And remember, the Patriots already added Romeo Doubs. That matters. That tells you the team is not sitting back and hoping one move fixes everything. They are stacking options. They are trying to build layers into the receiving room. That is what smart teams do when they know a young quarterback needs support. So let me throw this to you, because this is where the fan debate gets spicy. If you had the choice, what are you doing? Are you pushing all your chips in for A.J. Brown, even if the price is brutal? Or are you taking the more practical route with Davante Adams if the cost stays lower and the draft stays intact? Drop that in the comments, because that answer says a lot about how you think this rebuild should move. And then there's the draft. Oh yeah, we are not done, because the Patriots may not be choosing between trade or improvement. They may be setting up to do both. That's why the Denzel Boston discussion is so interesting. With the 31st pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, New England has a chance to add another receiver, and Boston is exactly the kind of prospect that makes you stop and think. Big frame, productive, wins in contested situations, creates a different kind of stress for a defense. And if you're building around Drake May, that matters a lot, a whole lot. Some people will say, hold on, they already added Doubs. They're chasing veteran help. Do they really need to spend a first-round pick on another receiver? And I understand the question. I do. But I think that mindset might actually be too small for where this team is right now. Because if the goal is to truly unlock the quarterback, why would you stop at one answer? Why would you stop at two? Great offenses are not built on a single weapon and a prayer. They are built on layers, different body types, different skill sets, different ways to hurt you. If the Patriots walk out of this offseason with Doubs in the building, maybe another veteran added, and then Denzel Boston on top of that, now we're not talking about patchwork anymore. Now we're talking about an offense with structure, an offense with intent, an offense with a chance to grow up fast. And that, to me, is the biggest takeaway from all of this. The Patriots are not acting irrelevant. They are not acting passive. They are not sitting there hoping the league feels sorry for them. They are making moves. They are exploring options. They are trying to build a roster that can defend, take the ball away, support the quarterback, and restore real edge to this franchise. Does anyone move guarantee a leap? No. Let's not get carried away. But when you stack the clues, when you connect the dots, when you look at Woodson's rise, Byard's arrival, the receiver rumors, the draft possibilities, it starts to feel like there is a real direction here, a real plan, a real heartbeat coming out of Foxborough. So now I want to hear from you. Are you looking at this as a nice off-season with a few smart moves? Or are you starting to feel what I'm feeling, that this might be the early shape of something much bigger? Sound off, react, share this with another Pats fan, and let's get this thing going, because one thing is crystal clear. Foxborough is sending signals, and if these pieces hit the way they could, the rest of the league is going to feel it.